Okay, so this is for the grade 12 class, and it's about object-oriented programming. So this morning, November 26th, we made a program, and just quickly switch over to it. So it's the bank account class and object-oriented programming. So I want to go over a few things. The first concept are modifiers, and so these are basically access modifiers, and they allow you to protect your code so that it can only be used a certain manner. So I want to make an explanation. So in my bank account, I've got an ID. So this would be an account number. Every account would have a separate ID, so the bank could keep organized to make sure that when money's deposited, it's in the right account. So the problem is that this ID, we want to have it to be unique, and we want it, when we create an account, to be a new unique number. So I've made a couple changes here. So the first thing is that I've declared that the ID is final. So once we set it, it can't be changed. We don't want people to be able to just change their bank ID to a different account and be able to access somebody else's money. So that's why it's finalized. The other thing is that we need a way that it doesn't matter when we create a bank account that it will make the next number. So I've added this variable. So it is private, and it's static, and what that means is that it's independent of the bank account class. So I don't need to create an instance of the bank account class to be able to access it. And let me just demonstrate what that looks like. So in here, I've not created a bank account instance yet, but sorry, I just realized I've got it private. I'm going to need to make it public so I can actually access it. So next ID, and if I run this right now, it's going to show me that what the next ID number is, which is 0. All right, and the neat thing is that if I run this same line of code after I've created a bank account, that number is going to change. So 0 and then 1. So that number's changed. So here's what's happening. So next ID is set to 0. It is static, so that means that it doesn't belong to the bank account. When I create a bank account, my constructor code runs. So I've added a few changes. So first off, I've set my ID to equal whatever the next ID is. So initially it's 0. And then I've increased the next ID. So the next bank account would then be the number 1, number 2, etc. And that's it. So each bank account, the ID value can't be changed. And I'm just going to change this to private again. And I'm going to show you a few things. So first off, if I run this now, I'm going to get an error, I believe. Yep, so here's my error, and it says next ID is private access. So when something's private, I can't access it from another class. So that's a really key thing. I can't touch that, which allows me to have some protection. Now I've added in view balance, you can see which account it is. So if I run this now, I should see here I've created the bank account, and when I view balance, I should see the dull which account it is, which is account 0. And there it is, so account 0. So if I add another bank account, and I view the balance on that, it will have a bank account. I'm going to add a few here. If I run this now, I should see a bunch of different bank balances. Looks like I've got a typo somewhere along the line. Just have to bear with me here while I just need a capital letter. Okay, so here it is. So so account 0, there's my balance. Account 1, there's my balance. Account 2, there's my balance. And then I'm back to account 0 because this is on line 11 where I'm viewing the balance after depositing. And you can see each bank account has a unique ID, and that's how I use that. So that's the first concept. And access modifiers are really, really useful. So I'm going to take advantage of that because if you'll notice, I have the balance right now is declared public. So that's a problem. And the reason it's a problem is that I can just go in here and I can go b.balance equals $1 million. And if I look at my balance now, you'll see I've just randomly changed my balance to $1 million. And obviously, we don't want somebody to be able to hack our bank accounts and do that. So I'm going to make it private. And there it is. So account 1, all of a sudden, I have more money and stuff. So I'm going to change my balance to a private variable. I can no longer access it. I can manipulate the balance by doing deposits and withdrawals. And obviously, I would put logic in here that would handle that. And I can view the balance, but I can no longer directly change it. So if I try to run it now, it's going to get an error because I'm trying to directly change it. And that's how access modifiers can be really useful for code. So they can allow us to protect certain data from people being able to change it. And there it is. It has private access. I can't do that. I have to do it via a deposit, and I would put logic in my code to make sure that the deposit was accurate. So that's the concept for that. Now, looking on here, there's a bunch of different things. So encapsulation, that's exactly what I just did. And with the private, you can see there's ways that you can use get and set to be able to modify these things. So for the balance, I could do that. And the key aspect of it is that you can control what that looks like. Now, for my bank account, I've set it up. I would have a logic. So in here, I would only run this. W is less than or equals to my balance. And if it's not, a little message out. So let's demonstrate that. So here's where I do my withdrawal and view balance, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to withdraw a really large amount of money. And let's just run this and see what we get. So my last two lines here, I should get the first withdraw worked because I had enough money, and then it says you can't withdraw money you don't have. So this withdrawal did not run because you can see my bank account has the same balance that I had before. So that encapsulation allows me to protect my code. People can't modify this because it's marked as private, and it forces them to use methods that I can put logic in to make them work. So that's encapsulation. Java packages allow me so I can import from different files and things like that, and we've already been doing that, so I'm going to skip over that. But inheritance is a really useful concept. So let's just do inheritance right now. I'm going to basically create a child bank account. All right, and so child bank account. And the big difference is that when you're doing it, you want to be able to extend that. So I'm going to say it extends bank account. This is where inheritance is really cool, because in my main method, I can create a child bank account. And the beauty of this is that I can access everything that my other bank account could access. So this is my child bank account. Sorry, account 0 is my child bank account. So I've just created it. I can access my balance. I've inherited all of the features of the bank account. And the reason that this is useful is because I might have the idea of being able to withdraw money. So I know from setting up bank accounts for my children that there's a restriction on here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an if statement. So the restriction is they can't withdraw less than $100, or they can have to withdraw less than $100. So that is restriction of that. And with my child bank account, I can't remember if I need to write overrides in here. We'll double check in a moment. I can use the same method, and I'm essentially overriding what happens in the regular bank account. It has to be under $100. So in my main method, CVA deposit $500. With my other bank account, I'm just going to both of these. I'm going to view my child account, then I'm going to view my regular bank account, and then I'm going to try some withdrawals. And I'm going to withdraw $150, which is going to be triggered. It's not going to work. And I'm getting an error. And bank account, help if I do the right thing. So let's try this. I think I've got an error here. I got to figure that out. Okay, so here's the problem. I'm trying to access the balance, and I can't because it's private. It's private to this. So this is where I can change this to protected, and this allows me to access it from my children accounts. So that should solve that particular problem. So let's run that. Let's see. I might need to change the next ID as well. Perfect. So here it is. Account 0 is my child account. It's initially set to 0, and then I do my deposit. So now it's set to 500, and my other bank account is set to 599. So that's account 1. So when I try to withdraw, I initially withdraw $150. So that's not working. So what I need to do is I need to believe that will solve that problem. So what I'm doing is I'm inheriting all of these things, but I'm changing it. Oh, I'm stupid. My less than sign is the wrong way. It should be a greater than sign. My own mistake. Okay, so there we go. So if I go back to my main method, view balance, so there's my child account, I deposit it, and then I'm viewing it, so there's 500, so this is line 9. Line 10, my other account, so account 0 and account 1. And on line 11, this is where I'm trying to withdraw $150. It's not letting me do that because I have to, my logic for the child account is not letting me do that. But when I try to withdraw $150 from the other bank account, and you'll see that the child account is still the same value. The other bank account, no problem at all, because it is the bank account. So inheritance is really useful because I don't need to add much code. I can just extend the bank account, and I have access to everything that belongs to the bank account, and I can override the specific code that I want. So this is where it's really useful. Now, polymorphism is another key concept, and basically it's many forms. So you can see I've already done that in terms of having a child bank account and a bank account. These are all the same type of thing, and I can access them the same way. So that's really useful. The other thing that I can do is I can also use polymorphism with my methods. So here is my bank account method. I can create a new method that's exactly the same, but this method will take a dollar amount. Sometimes when you create an account, you don't want to create it with $0. You want to be able to set an amount. So what I'm going to do is I am going to call the bank account method itself, and then I am going to take my account and I'm going to deposit the amount of money that's in it. So if I go back to my main, let's just do this right at the beginning. Bank account BA equals new bank account, and I'm going to put in $1,000. You can see, whoops, kind of pointless because you can't see anything. I need to view my balance then. You can see that that bank account, when I run it, and drop a line 14. Okay. Made a mistake somewhere along the line here. BA equals new bank account. Let's just comment that out and make sure that where my logic is that's causing this issue. Okay. Well, my code has caused an issue, I believe, so I'll just figure out what's going on here. Okay, so here's my okay, so let's just try running that. That should solve that problem. So this is polymorphism, basically. I've got two methods that are exactly the same. They're called the same. As a result, they run different code. So account 0, my balance is $1,000. So that worked. Okay, so that's polymorphism. And there's a lot of other information here. I want you to take the time to work through this and create these. So some of these things we're not going to spend much time on. We're not going to deal with abstraction stuff, but other aspects like the enum, this is stuff that's going to be really useful, and we're going to take advantage of it. And so enums down to hash set we're going to use a lot. The rest of this we're not going to regularly touch on, but it's useful to know about. So that's what I want you to work on today, is just get through the rest of that.